Welcome to this special That Game on PLZ Soccer's YouTube channel. I'm Peter Martin, delighted to say Alan Rough is with me as always, and our very special guest is the former Partick Thistle captain, certainly a legend at Firhill, Alec Rae. We're here to talk about that day in October, which will live long in the memory. It's hard to believe 50 years have now passed since Partick Thistle defeated Celtic in the 1971 League Cup final at Hampden. It was a momentous day, so much so, Ruffy, that even the BBC were questioning the scoreline that was coming up on the teleprinter.
Yeah, and I can see why. I don't think with a good record, beating the big sides. So, I can imagine the surprise everybody when they heard the halftime score.
I suppose, Alec, the question is, did you, like so many other teams and individuals who've created a bit of history, did you realise the enormity of what you'd achieved then and what would happen in subsequent years?
No, really. It was a gigantic task we faced. However, and the Thursday before the final, he'll not remember, but we had a wee Chinese, Ronnie Glavin, Bobby Laurie, him and myself, in the city centre, just for a wee relaxed conversation. And Ronnie Glavin comes up with the story that he had a dream last night. And the dream last night was, guess what? He didn't quite give the score. However, he strongly felt that the dream meant we were going to win on the Saturday.
How did you react when he said that to you?
Oh, I took it very seriously.
Can you remember that?
I can't remember the Chinese, but what I do remember, on the Thursday after that Chinese, as I've told you before, I went to see The Who in the Apollo.
Yeah.
I went to see The Who live.
The Who?
The Who,
Yeah.
aye. And that was 2 nights before. It was a relaxed week, wasn't it? We weren't really, there was no pressure on us. There was nothing. We just went along, thinking hoping we were going to win. But I mean, Celtic had just come off a European final the year before, and the players were all still there, and we'd played Celtic before and hadn't done particularly well against them. So that's why it was a surprise to everybody.
I mean, it wasn't as if they were coming to the end of their dominance in Scottish football. They were midway through their 9 in a row.
In your wildest dreams, you couldn't think that you were going to beat them. But in all honesty, Davy McParland had set us up to play attacking football, and at no stage do I ever remember him talking in terms of sitting in and trying to sneak a victory. He knew we had young players who had plenty of pace and a couple of old codgers who could just sort of join all the dots, if you like. And
yeah, and it came off.
it came off
Spectacularly.
You think about it now, everybody talks about formations, whether it's 4-4-2 or 3-5-2 or whatever. We were 4-2-4. We were 4-2-4.
midfield.
Yeah.
When you think about that, 2 people 4 people, obviously they had 2 as well. 4 people in a midfield, it's just no thinkable to come up against teams with 2 midfielders.
Well, you mentioned the team, so let's look first of all at the Partick Thistle side. Alan Rough in goal, John Hanson, Alec Forsyth, Ronnie Glavin, Jackie Campbell, Hugh Strachan, Dennis McQuaid, Frank Coulson, Jimmy Bowen, Alec Rae himself, and Bobby Laurie, and you've got Johnny Gibson as the sub. What was that team like? First of all, was there a bit of form? Were you doing well in Scottish football at that time?
We had, over a period of a couple of years, we had won we got promotion at the first time of asking. And there was plenty of pace in the team, and there was a fair bit of ability. And really, it's very difficult to defend teams who can control the ball and run quick. And Jimmy Bowen, Frank Coulson, we had a wee, very simple ploy as one of our sort of main attacking threats. Jimmy and Frank would just simply cross over. And this seemed to dumbfound some of the defenders, because the amount of times they got beyond the last line and goals came for it. But we had so many good young players, and one or two older ones that just Jackie Campbell, for example, and Hugh Strachan were just outstanding. No, Jackie Campbell, how he never played for Scotland, I'll never know, because he had everything a good footballer requires. As a defender, he was never panicked, and Hughie was just a good, solid professional. And but the team generally were first class, young, quick, and we weren't really geared up for defence.
Just picking up on Alex's point there, Ruffy, you're the goalie, you're looking at it, he's given a great testimony to some of the players. In your mind, when you were looking ahead there, what were you thinking of the players that were in front of you, that were taken to the field that day?
No, I think Alex hit it in the head. We were a squad of young boys, you know, we'd won the league, I think it was a year before, and with the experienced players like Alec, and I put Frank Coulson into that category, and you mentioned Jackie and Hughie. And a lot of people don't realise this, although we're a young emerging team, 6 of that young team all went to play for Scotland. No, in future years, 6 of the guys in that team all played for Scotland at some stage. So there was something there that was just about to kick in. Unfortunately, we, like all teams, we all broke up. Like player Jimmy went down south and Ronnie went. And if that team had stayed together, who knows?
Yeah, absolutely. And before we look at the Celtic team, Alec, the build-up to it, can you remember? Was it? I mean, Ruffy says it's low key. Was there a clamour for tickets? I know his dad always pestered him for tickets for everything. But was there a buzz? Was there a buzz in your family? Can you remember that?
Well, I can remember every member of the family. My dad sadly had died a few years before, but my wee mother was there. She never missed a game. Her and my sister. My second eldest brother used to run a football team. It was a Docker. Key United was their names. And I only found out recently he wasn't at the game. He was watching Key United. So you could imagine the stick that fell upon him. But this is one of the things, old age happens when you're speaking about something and then
yeah, absolutely.
Gone.
But when you talk about it, he's talking about the I always talk to him about the clamour for tickets. You mentioned that your family, your mum, which must have been a really special day for her. But let me take you through going up to Hampden then. The buzz must have been unbelievable. Even for somebody that was experienced as yourself, was the heart fluttering a wee bit quicker?
It was there. The generation, the build-up was, because for the minute your eyes open, you were preparing, although you don't realise it at the time. The funny thing was, I lived in Paisley with a wee flat in Paisley at the time, and there was a couple of young boys who knew I had played football, and so they found out by the time the final came round that I was actually playing in the final, and there were 2 wee Celtic supporters. So of course I told them, "No, we're going to hump you today." So maybe no in those terms at that time, but got on the train. It was the train from Paisley up to Glasgow, and then I don't remember how I actually got to Firhill, but maybe a taxi.
Yeah.
And then it was out to Annie's Land.
Yeah. And did you sense that a lot of Thistle fans there?
No.
No.
Do you mean at the game?
No, just going up there. Was it dominated by green and white?
No. Aye, of course.
Yeah.
Aye.
Wow. I mean, and with that in mind, Ruffy, you then get to Hampden. You've done all your. Here's the tickets. My brother might be here. My brother might not be. And you get into that dressing room. What was the mid like then?
Low key again, I think we all went about our business, and nobody was shouting for the heavens. Nobody was saying we're going to do this, we're going to do that. We're just all happy to be there. And then Sam, I always say now, people say they want to move the game away from Hampden. But we'd never been to Hampden. No, we played Falkirk in the semi-final, but it wasn't a general occurrence that we would turn up. So you can imagine walking about the park. You hadn't been there a lot, and everybody's looking about, and the fans are starting to come in, and then you could feel the enormity that what was about to happen. Obviously, with the Celtic fans coming in and their numbers, and I think the total was something like 52,000 at the end up. But like any game, you just want the game started. I think the dressing room was quite quiet. I don't remember anybody bawling and shouting or anything like that. I don't. I just meant just go out and enjoy yourself, and nobody expected you to win.
Yeah. Did you as a captain, did you say anything before they went out?
Sure I did, but I honestly can't remember what it was. But there were one or two swear words I dare say.
and when you're walking out, I mean, I know it's difficult at times because you're always like, bloody hell, it's 50 years have passed. But when you're walking out that tunnel, I mean, there must have been is there a moment when you just said, woof, noise?
Well, I don't have the words to explain how I really felt, but there's a picture of me and Bobby Murdoch walking out, and I'm quite a jovial kind of laugh a minute kind of guy, and the expression on my face just tells you everything. For me anyway, it was
tension,
Mr. Serious, and this is business we need to do here, and forget about whether we're going to win or lose. We're going to get our best shot.
Yeah, and with that in mind, Alex walking out there, you'll just be behind him, I presume. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I've got to ask this quickly. You still got your strip from that day?
Oh, that is a sore point.
Right. Okay. Hang fire with that story. Hang fire with that story. I can't believe I've asked that. Taking us off in a different direction, but you're coming out. Let me take you through the Celtic team. Mm-hmm. Ruffy, Evan Williams in goal, Davy Hay, Tommy Gemmell. I presume Bobby Murdoch's the captain. He's dropped Billy McNeil for which
he was injured, I think.
Was he injured?
I had a meeting with him the day before for one of the newspapers, and we're blathering away, and at no point was there ever any clue that he wasn't going to be playing the next day.
Wow. So he kept it tight. George Connolly's in, Jim Brogan, Jimmy Johnston, Kenny Dalglish, Harry Hood, Tommy Callahan, Lou Macari. How did you win? I can't believe I'm looking at the side. Yeah. The subs, Jim Craig. I mean, there's Lisbon Lions are plenty, but I'm looking at the other players that are not Lisbon Lions, and they're absolutely top drawer.
Well, they'd all be part of the Lisbon Lions, the route to wherever,
You sure we did one?
There.
That's another story.
So no, I think the good thing about it is we keep going back to the younger ones. It was nothing to us. I mean, I was only 19. Obviously I was nervous and everything.
That in itself is incredible.
I don't remember anything. I just remember sampling the atmosphere and going out there and going, well, we just got to get on with it. And we all knew what they had, particularly with Jinky. We knew he was going to be the danger, and somebody had to sort him out at some time during the game. And I think it was Ronnie that fell on. It was an accident. It was not nice, wasn't it? And that for me, that was the biggest thing for me was wee Jinky going off, because we all knew what he could do to teams. We all knew
we were winning 2-0 at that stage.
But it's in saying that when he went off, I thought that was a bit of a relief.
Yeah.
Because he was an absolute master playing at the top of his game.
Yeah, and of course this is a year after he's destroyed Leeds as well, so he's not on a downward slope just yet. But it's a fantastic setting. The whole game's been set up. We've looked at the two teams. It's an incredible atmosphere. Hampden full to the gunnels. League Cup final, silverware on offer. And in this particular game, suddenly you boys hadn't read the script. Now I'm looking and it's 10 minutes gone. What a goal by yourself to actually open the whole thing. It's a goal fit to win any cup final. Talk me through what was going through your mind, how it all came about.
It was fairly simple. Corner from the left. I can't mind who. Was it Bobby Laurie that took it?
It would have been, yeah.
Yeah. And I was just outside the D. I had made a run forward and then backed, and the ball come in, and then I wasn't attacking it. I was just positioning in the event that it maybe get popped out, and I don't know who it was that headered it, or headed it. So it just dropped perfectly, and I just the rest is history.
Yeah, I mean, you hit it so well.
Sweetly, aye.
Oh, Ruffy, it's a fantastic
It's
goal.
one of these ones you can't save because it's up.
I'm done.
It's up and it's done.
Yeah.
You know, you can't dive that high to get the highest bit.
Aye.
And by the time you dive to get the highest bit, it's dipping done.
Yeah.
So it's an unsavable shot.
Yeah, I mean, it was just fantastic. A great goal to kick it all off. I mean, 5 minutes later, you're 2-0 up, Bobby Laurie.
Aye. Well, wee Bobby had outstanding pace, and no that often did he cut in,
Yeah,
but he did that day, and he cut in and just, I mean, the defender wasn't near him, couldn't he? It was a flying machine.
yeah. And if you're talking about your first one was unstoppable, Bobby Laurie's is such that
Yes,
there's no way he's curling it, and there's no way Evan Williams can get to that.
No,
one
he
either.
just hit it perfectly. You know, he just cut in and did what a lot of good wingers then would do. You know, they'd see the goal and they could curl it in their good foot and in the corner, and he couldn't have saved that either.
Yeah. See it 2-0, Ruffy. What were you thinking?
It's hard to think what you were thinking. You were going to hope we got another one quick and maybe another after that, but you never knew what was coming. The next goals are all, I think, because Big Billy wasn't playing, because the centre of the defence wasn't as strong. You know, when they played that and Jimmy ran in, you know, to beat them on the offside.
I was going to say to you, I mean, Jimmy's is a category. It's just that when I look at it, I'm thinking to myself, Jock Stein must have been absolutely livid when he put the fourth one in, but the third one as well. I mean, Dennis McQuaid pops up and scores.
That's right. But Big Dennis he scored many a good goal, but that particular goal, it just happened to be in amongst the melee.
Yeah, it's a stramash, isn't it?
Stramash, as Arthur would say.
Exactly. I knew we'd get him in somewhere. But again, he takes full advantage of it.
Absolutely, aye.
Yeah.
And Dennis scored 2 in the semi-final.
Yeah.
You know, against Falkirk.
Did you like Dennis as a player?
Aye, it was. You see, we had 2 wingers who were wingers. You know, we didn't want them tracking back and defending. They just wanted them to go forward at pace and cause fullbacks problems, and that's what they did. And they both could score goals.
I'll tell you one thing, Alec, and because I'm lucky enough to have known him, and even in charity matches, played alongside him as well for quite a few games, Jimmy Bone's a great player.
Aye. What he had was, he was very strong and he was really quick. And once they sort of go over the initial impact of actually playing in the first team and relaxing, the defenders, they just couldn't handle him.
Yeah, by the way,
Too quick,
it's your
too
perfect
strong.
goal, isn't it? 4-0, nobody marking you. you just put it at the back of the net. Now, you're the captain, you're 4-0 up. Before he tells his gag, which he's told for many a year, tell me what's going through your head. 4-0.
Well, I tell you, not just for the fourth goal, but for the first goal, the guys are all around about you. And I'm thinking, I'm saying, that's only one. It's nothing. We need to be dedicated and organised. I really, honestly, they maybe didn't hear me, but I knew I had to keep the lid on it. And at every goal, just about.
Wow.
Same story. It was because, well, it's no widely known, I don't suppose, but I was a Rangers supporter. I grew up, I was born 500 yards for the centre circle at Ibrox.
Yeah.
Now, the very thought of being 4 up against Celtic, I couldn't have went back to Govan. Because that's just how it was.
Yeah.
And so everybody was dedicated to the task, but I was maybe just a 1% more than the rest of them.
By the way, the great line of it, I mean, apart from that is, I think, still relevant today, but that is the part of what was the culture at that time.
Aye.
Everybody had that association with Celtic and Rangers, but I think he also underplays the fact that he's automatically thinking as a captain, listen, we're 1 up. Wait a minute, we're 2 up. Hold on, 3 up. Let's keep a lid on it. There's a job to do.
Yeah, you could have, again, gone back to all the younger players, we could have been going mental, you know, because, I mean, we'd never been there before, but you need old heads on the park to say, look, hey, there's still enough 45 minutes to go here, you know. I mean, we knew Celtic, we knew what they were like, we knew the form they were in, we knew they could rip teams to bits in 15, 20 minutes if they were on their game.
Yeah, and of course, I mean, he's heard it a million times, but Is this accurate? You know,
This is
you've,
me. No,
you've
this
been,
is this
you've
is.
been on the after dinner
No,
circuit,
this
but
is-
it's such a good story.
No, it is a good. I'm not going to go into the whole length of it. It is. I remember sitting there, and I remember sitting there, and we're 4-0 up, and people were saying things, and I wasn't even listening because I was still trying to take in what the score was, and I honestly thought I was in a dream.
Yeah.
I honestly thought this can't be happening. You know, and then you think about things. I always think the night before games are horrendous, you know, because you're thinking about how you're going to do and how the team's going to do and what the score's going to be. And I actually thought 4-0 was a dream. And I knew what they were like, and I was worried about the second half because 4-0 wasn't a good score for us to hold on to.
Peter, I kid you not, there was just an air of complacency creeping in, as I felt, the captain. I'm not going to mention the names, but at least two of the guys, it was, do you realise what's happening here? Because they in their mind were almost speaking as if the game's finished.
It's finished.
The
Was
game-
that at half time they were like that?
Half-time.
Yeah.
Aye.
So you again as a captain are having to try and keep a
Without
lid
a
on
doubt,
it.
yes.
Yeah.
He was maybe in his dreams, but
Yeah.
I was Mr. Reality, and well, I said earlier on the importance of the game normally, but the circumstances
The
for
wee
it.
edge. Yeah. What did David McParlin say?
David was speaking to other guys, but he was obviously trying to keep a lid on it.
Yeah.
But dedication to the simple rules of defence, and
You're 4 up. Is there in your mind, because you said that this is an attacking team, you're going out for the second half? Now, I think there's a great thing. I mean, I think it's credited to Sam Leach on the BBC, who says, obviously he said Partick Thistle have no chance, but he's then gone on to say, it's Partick Thistle 4, Celtic 0. As soon as we have the correct score, we'll amend it and let you know what's going to happen. Now,
It was a standard joke on that programme at Grandstand, and here are the scores. Aberdeen 2, Partick Thistle 0. 0. Every week it was 0. That was a standard joke with them.
So, bearing in mind you've said they were an attacking team, he said wingers, you never had a defensive strategy. You go out for the second half. Are you going out there thinking, okay, let's see if we can nick another one? Or are you thinking, hold on, we're 4-0 up, don't let them...
common sense, you're obviously going to be organised defensively, but my first recollection of the second half is me passing the ball to Big Dennis, and for about 25 yards, let it go, and it scraped the crossbar. So
honestly, I remember, I've never seen the whole 90 minutes of the game.
Nobody has.
No, but I remember the first 10 minutes of the second half, we could have scored twice.
Wow.
Dennis could have scored, and Evan Williams had a great save. I don't know who it was for,
Probably
but
me.
we could have been 6. Honestly, it was that way. They were never... I think they were shell-shocked. I think, although they were big, experienced players, they'd never, ever been in that position before. And am I right in saying that they've never, ever lost 4 goals in a final, of any final? I remember reading, I read that somewhere.
Reported it's the
they've never-
heaviest defeat in
a
any
final.
cup final they've ever played in.
Yeah, I think that record would stand. It certainly would be open to close scrutiny, but even at that, you're 4-0 up, and I don't think too many teams have been 4-0 up against Celtic, if at all, ever, in a final. The question I've got to ask you then is, Dalglish scores, gets one back. I mean, that's 70 minutes. You still get 20 minutes to... But were you thinking, keep...
Of course,
Yeah.
you're no happy it's went in, but it's went in, so we just need to get the organisation back to how it should be. And by this stage, but the good thing was, although it was a 4-2-4 we played,
Yeah.
the wingers worked hard.
Yeah.
They would almost revert into the 4-4-2.
Yeah.
I really find it quite amazing how the people watching games can talk about 1-3, 1-4, and all this.
Yeah.
But that was a very simple strategy, 4-2-4, that allowed us to attack often, and then if we were defending, well, the wingers would always chase back if there was any overlapping fullbacks, but they would automatically work as a defensive unit when it was required.
Yeah, and I know over the 50 years you've probably had, a million and one interviews where you've obviously reflected on the game, and you maybe not have said it now, but you've got a perfect chance to say it now. Were you unhappy with the goalkeeper for the goal that they got?
No,
I mean, it's
I
a
think
simple
that
tap in.
it was
I
a
mean, come
tap
on.
I'll take the fifth on that one.
Brilliant, Alex. Ruffy,
It was-
Dalglish scores and you're thinking
There was
20 minutes
actually
left.
no, there was 22 minutes
Was
because I
it?
had a watch.
Oh, did you?
I always took a watch into the
Did
goal
you?
to check. I don't know why. I used to have a wee watch, and I used to check. And when he scored, I looked at it, and it was 22 minutes.
Is that right?
And then you're saying to yourself, well, can they score? Have they get enough time to score an half?
It is funny.
And I only remember having two saves, really two
Yeah.
decent saves. I don't remember them bombasting. I don't remember like
Relentless
Stramashes in the
pressure,
goal
yeah.
and up against it and people kicking the ball off the line. And I don't remember that at all.
Well, let me tell you this, which kind of puts it into perspective for maybe younger viewers who are not aware of the enormity of this. This is a Celtic side that, you're talking about the October. This is a Celtic side that reached the semi-final of the European Cup in '72 and, were denied only by Dixie Deans missing a penalty kick against Inter Milan, or they would have been in their third European Cup final, probably playing against Ajax. So that gives you an indication of the calibre of player that you were playing against. You're into the final seconds, Ruffy. You must at this point think, this is unbelievable. I wonder what's going to happen.
It is unbelievable. My lasting memory is when the final whistle went. I don't know if Alec remember. Every Celtic player to a man came round and congratulated us. Came right round us all.
Yep.
I know there was one wee instance with one of the players, but most of them all come round. And I remember going up, because it had happened so quick, it seemed cup finals just go like that.
Yeah.
I remember going up with the referee and saying, "Can we start again?" and give the same scoreline. Because you can't relax, you can't enjoy, you can't samba them, obviously, when the final whistle goes, but you think about the 90 minutes have just gone. You can't get them back again, and if you thought you were going to win 4-1, you would go, God, I wish we could play that again, and you knew what the score was going to be.
I'll tell you what's special, though. You've mentioned there, of course, the edge of it all. It's Partick Thistle who've defeated Celtic. Your mum's there. You're going up as captain to pick up the cup.
I remember a wee forward roll at the final whistle. That was my celebration. But I felt as if I could have jumped over the stand. But as I said earlier, my father had died a few years earlier, and my wee mother was just a real wee soldier. And she was at the game, obviously, and the bus, after the game finishes, so I'm on the bus by this stage, and I hears a wee bit of commotion. Wee Isa is trying to go on the bus. The big Polish is trying to stop her, but he failed.
Was she on the bus?
Yeah,
She
she
got
on the
on
bus,
it, and there's a great photo. We've got it in the house. And wee Isa's there. She's greeting, obviously. But the other one is that the chairman wasn't happy that she was on the bus, but she wasn't cared. There's a photograph right behind the chairman.
Jimmy Aiken.
Is that right?
Wee face was
Raging.
I know.
That's even better. How many captains get to actually lift a trophy and have their mum on the bus? I don't think there's any.
She did go off the bus
Oh,
before
right.
we drove away.
Still great, isn't it, Ruffy?
Oh, it's brilliant. I mean, that bus, that just shows you we didn't expect to win it because it's usually open top bus.
Yeah.
And you drive all the way through Maryhill of a wee single bus, with just a wee skylight roof. And I think it was John Hanson that said, "Come on, usually you're up with the cup, says,
No,
let's get the skylight.
Forsyth,
Let's get
I
the
think it was.
skylight." And he's trying to bust this squeeze skylight. It's only open about 3 foot. Couldn't even get the cup through it, never mind anything else.
And when you pick up the cup, though, at Hampden, that for you is an abiding memory, and the image is
Absolutely.
iconic.
And the sad thing is that there was a particular photograph in Greaves, who was at the sports,
Yeah, Great Sports.
who
Were
supplied
promoting.
us with our gear.
Yeah.
And there was a huge photograph of me facing the fans, and I must have seen it 1,000 times when I was in the town.
Yeah.
And I never once thought about trying to get a copy of it. And by the time I made some inquiries years and years later, it wasn't to be found. But what a great photo it was. And it just, for me, it just encapsulated.
And you've tried to get that photograph, and he's mates with the boy at Greaves
Sarah.
Sports. How the hell can
I
you
didn't.
not
Well, I
get that?
didn't know that I can get Sandy Greaves. Sandy Greaves Sports.
Hold on a second, Ruffy, we're 50 years on and he's
no.
died for the
Oh
photograph.
no, he keeps. Sandy keeps all his stuff for the
It was a
memorabilia
huge
and everything.
photograph
Yeah.
in. No, as you walked in, it was.
No, I'm sure if he's taken it off the wall for something,
He's got it somewhere.
he's got it somewhere up
Well,
the stairs.
that's the great thing about
Archives.
this programme, the search for the
Yeah.
picture.
Yeah.
Another cracker was about wee Isa again. I signed for East Fife as a 17-year-old. So we were playing Clydebank this day. So my mother and my sister Kathy, who both of them sadly are gone now, but they were in the wee tiny Clydebank stand. And there was a guy just sitting in front of my mother and my sister. And he was really unlucky because he didn't know that my mother was sitting, but and he was giving me dogs a bit, yeah. So wee Isa couldn't handle it anymore. Umbrella, whack! That's my boy! He got up, bolted, was never seen again.
Well, the great news is you haven't seen him in 50
Yeah.
years, but we've managed to find him. That's a great tale. It's
I nearly
brilliant.
fell in when the story was told to me.
It's
but-
great having your mum involved. I mean, I just think that's the brilliant tale to it. Great for the picture as well. I mean, nobody will have that type of picture. So, you know, you've got the bus back to Firhill. I know you had a struggle to find somebody with the keys to get in.
No, it took about 10, 15 minutes before somebody
The
came up
key.
with the keys to open the main door. Because we were all going to change. We'll get out whether we won or lost anyway. But nobody obviously thought
What
they'd be that
hotel was
quick.
that we
It's
were?
not there now. It was just off George Square. I can't remember what the name of it is,
Yeah.
but it's not there any longer.
Big reception.
Up still, yeah, full
Yeah.
full booner.
Family.
Family,
Yeah.
Aye,
Yeah.
wife.
Yeah.
girlfriends, yeah.
Yep. And wives. Brilliant. Well, yeah, I mean, after that, there's no open top bus. You mentioned you've had the big celebration. What was it like in the immediate? I mean, I know you get thumped the next week with Aberdeen, but what was it like in that season, Alec? Just
Well, before he tells you, I was gutted on the Monday because I was supposed to be going to Hull City for 80 grand, and they knocked it back.
I didn't know that.
The Monday, Tommy Docherty and
Well, of course, Tommy
Big Boy-
Docherty
Big
did have
Boy,
a big influence.
walked into Firhill on the Monday
yeah.
and put in a bid, and Dave McPallen said, "No, get better clubs than that." Knocked it back.
I honestly
That's
didn't
incredible,
know
isn't
that.
it?
Aye.
Listen, I mean, it's a fantastic tale.
But we
A
did.
couple of
You're
things-
right. You did. We drew nothing each with Dundee,
Yeah.
Aye.
and then the next Saturday,
Aye.
Thumped.
I can't think. I don't know what
Well,
happened.
I'll tell you. I'll tell you.
These were all blotto.
No, it was absolutely nothing to do with that. We just didn't play.
Yeah. Here's a
And we
question
get
for
punished.
you before I forget. The strips. So what happened?
Well, in this day, there's a whole lot of stuff that happens that didn't happen then. For example, there's not a single photograph of Partick Thistle in the cup at the game. Not a single photograph, and that.
You know, pre-season when the teams line up to get a pre-season photo, and you've got all the cups you've won in the
Yeah,
front.
yeah.
You've not got one of them.
Why not?
I don't know.
Well, it just wasn't done.
Right.
No.
Wow.
A
That is
re-
amazing, isn't it?
A real.
Is there a team photograph of the boys that did it?
There will be.
Yeah. Right.
But
Okay.
with the old sweaty shirts and all that.
Yeah.
There's just, and I find it incredible. In fact, the footage was edited, and there's no 90 minutes of the game either.
Yeah. And the shirt, you didn't get to keep it.
No, and I think there was a suggestion. I'm sure I asked the boss, and I think I told him I was going to keep it.
Yeah.
and he said, "Well, you'll pay for it," and I really wish I had paid for it.
So same here. I wish you had paid for it.
I haven't a clue.
You don't know. You
I
just
haven't a clue.
you sold everything.
No,
didn't you?
no,
You're unbelievable.
no, I hadn't. I don't know what happened to that.
Yeah.
I just threw it in with everything else.
Well, I'll tell you what happened to mine. I was wearing it in the Wednesday at Dundee.
What? I mean, that is incredible, isn't it? Not even a commemorative
no,
stitching. on it.
nothing.
Here's a question then. This is, which is great, and I love the fact that he's still got the thing. This is the medal that Ruffy has for winning the Scottish League Cup final against Celtic 4-1. You still get yours?
Yes.
Yeah.
And the promotion medal as well.
Brilliant. I mean, it's great. Sum up what it means to be part of the history, Alec.
I'm not sure I have the words to explain how. I mean, it changed socially. It changed my life. To this day, I still go to places. My hair's maybe a wee bit different colour, but the amount of people that recognise you 50 years later, and socially, I'm a social beast. So, it's, over the years, there's no too many places I've been that I've not been recognised. Sometimes, well, the year after, I think Hibs played Celtic in the League Cup final the year after it.
Yeah, 72.
Janice, my wife, and I were at a game, and although the fans for the cup final were great, the following year we were walking from Hampden down to Shawlands Cross, and the abuse I thought was unbelievable. Reality had set in, obviously. That's it.
I mean, Alec, again, with great humility, is looking at it and saying it was great because it changed his life. For you?
I think it changed my life, but it just when you're part of a club like Thistle are, the supporters mean everything, and it is everything to the supporters, as the guys are going to know. This is a memorable year for us. Things that are coming up, the boys are all coming back in the 23rd of October when we played in Fairland. The team are going to play in the same strips as we played in the League Cup final. Not yours. Not yours.
I told you you should have bought it. I've kept them all in a big drum.
So, no, the team's going to play in the strips. The fans that can buy the replica medals, and there's a massive lunch at Hampden. We're taking over Hampden on the 24th, and it's good to have it. Well, I know you spoke earlier. We don't meet often enough. I don't know why, but when we do meet up, it's worthwhile.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, listen, it's to be a part of it is so special, and the amount of Jags fans right across the world, and I have some in my family who mention it, in-laws as well. Never forget it. It's such a special memory for them. How would you like to be remembered?
Just a good, honest professional.
Ruffy, from your own point of view?
Yeah, I think a captain of the team. Yeah, he's the main man, and to lift that cup was something you will always remember. And he always bought the bacon and onion rolls and Jack and Ellie's, so that was always something.
and if I can leave, and if I can,
somebody sitting beside me.
Well, I was just going to say, I look at the two of you now, and you're casual, you're relaxed, but can I just say to you, what about the gear you were wearing? What about his jacket coming off the bus?
Whose fault that was?
It was somebody else's fault.
It was wee Gibby. It was wee John Gibson who was the fashion guru, wasn't he? Like
that check thing.
Aye, that check. What? I know. Yes. I can't believe I actually went to a football game with that on. But wee Gibby was always coming out of a store in Buchanan Street. You might remember it. And he always had suave gear on. And he used to come into the dressing room with all the Ben Sherman shirts and all the gear. And somebody was trying to live up with him, and that jacket was his fault. I don't know where I got it, but
I don't even think Ben Sherman was born.
Oh no!
Were you more sedate in your outfit?
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
But having said that, it was quite a nice blue shirt with a big maroon type tie.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, listen, it's a joy looking back on it. 50 years have passed. I'm sure people will look back on this interview and listen to it with great memories, especially if you're a Partick Thistle fan. If you're a football neutral and you love games, to actually be able to reflect on this match in the company of the legendary captain Alec Rae has been an absolute joy. And of course with Ruffy, the stories, I'll never tire of listening to them, but especially this special day, 23rd of October 1971. It's Partick Thistle 4, Celtic won. It is a day that lives long in the memory. It is a historic day in Partick Thistle's, their status, their games that they've played. I don't think anyone will ever, ever forget that day when they thumped Celtic. It wasn't a correction on the BBC. It was actually the correct score on that day. To Alec Ray, to Alan Rough, I hope you've enjoyed that trip down memory lane. That game from Hampden Park, the League Cup final. Thistle 4, Celtic 1. Thanks for watching.